Welcome back to Hard4Games, everybody. I'm Tony.
I'm John.
And we have a ton of NES and SNES prototypes to cover today.
Yeah, this is crazy. Where'd you get all these?
Well, they were sent over by a friend of the show. Thank you so much, sir. Let's go ahead and get into it, though. Now, I figured we would go through these one by one, see what the actual game is, whether it was final or not, i.e., is it an earlier version of the game compared to the retail version of the game? And, we haven't really taken a deep dive in terms of looking for differences yet for the ones that aren't final, but if it's something that you are interested in at home, let us know in the comments below and we can spend a little bit more time trying to figure it out and maybe doing an episode as well on that particular title. All right, so this is Worm for the NES, and this is a non-final version of the game. So it is an earlier version. Now, if you're not familiar, this is an interesting title. It has recently gained sort of hidden gem status over the last 5-10 years or so. It's a bizarre one, and it has a ton of different gameplay types. Worm has these little anime cutscenes. It has these action platform adventure parts. It has shmup parts. It's a really cool, unique game. And it's not final.
Ooh. I'm very excited to see one of these. It is Super Star Wars for PAL. Ew, sorry, Europeans. But unfortunately, this one is final, but it is cool to see one of these probably late play testing or review copies. It says to be returned as soon as possible to JVC Musical Industries Europe Limited. But I loved these games as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And if you like platformers or action games, or like the pain of playing Souls games, you'll love these. Because these are really fun.
They're tough.
They're so hard.
They're tough as nails.
They're so hard.
Yeah. I never got very far in any of those games.
Beating a level in this is equivalent to beating a whole other game. It is crazy.
Yeah, they're a touch challenging. I was really hoping that this one would be an earlier version, but alas, it is not. Pouring out no prototype of Star Wars yet. So in this unlabeled Super Famicom cartridge, we have an earlier version of Batman Returns, which is a beloved beat-em-up for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that was fun.
It is a beautiful looking game, very responsive, fun game. It also has some Mode 7 driving sections, which are really cool. And now I played a little bit of this version, again, earlier version of the game, compared to the retail version, and I didn't notice any differences. But again, I only played through a level or two. So there might be some there, or they might be so minute I might not be able to notice. I'm not sure. This one might be worth taking a deeper dive, if not by us, by someone else, just because it's such a beloved beat-em-up classic.
We've also got this one, which just looks like a really bad cartridge with the label removed. But like all prototypes, it has a disgusting hacksawed out section where you can just push in chips. And this one is for Super Mad Champ, which is like a Mode 7 racer kind of outrun meets Road Rash
sort of title. Yeah.
And it's got a little bit of slowdown, but overall, it looks pretty fun.
Actually playing this, the slowdown isn't too big of a deal. It's very, very playable. I definitely enjoyed it, and hilariously, it has bounce animations or bounce physics. Not really physics, animations. Yeah. Whenever the lady character wins, which is just so silly. But overall, I thought it was a very good game, and this is not final. I noticed one difference. It is missing a title card at the beginning when you boot it up.
Interesting.
Now, that's the only difference I've noticed so far.
Okay.
I played through a couple tracks. I haven't noticed anything, but I haven't dove deep into it. But it is certainly different when you boot it. This is Super Battle Tank 2 with a append circle around the copyright symbol, just in case anyone was confused. 1993, absolute entertainment, all rights reserved for demo use only. Now, this is different than final, but just very, very slightly. It's like a couple of bytes of difference. I honestly don't think that this would be worth looking into deeper, just because it's functionally the final version of the game.
Yeah, just a few bytes might just be a timestamp.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to notice any gameplay or aesthetic differences in it. However, it's nice that it is slightly different. For those that aren't familiar, obviously this is a tank game, first-person tank game. It's reasonably fun, but it's kind of one of those games that you might rent at some point and never really rent again.
I was going to say that Super Battle Tank 2 is exactly that sort of game.
Yeah.
Stargate.
It is an action platformer. It is far too long in terms of the stages.
Yeah. I remember our good friend Corey, aka SNES, did it for his Pack Watch. I remember the next day he was like, bro, that game was way too long. He was like, it was fun, but it's just keeps going.
Keeps going. And this is not final.
Interesting.
So again, I don't know how it's not final. It's also such a long game that I would dread going through it.
Yeah, so can we have one of those like AIs that teaches itself how to play a game and just play through these?
I'm sure also someone can probably take a look at see if like the graphics are any different, like the sprites are any different, like this, that kind of thing. But like as far as gameplay goes, moment to moment gameplay, I would dread it if you all commented that you wanted me to look at Stargate.
So you know what you have to do.
This is kind of a strange one. This is Champions World Cup Soccer, but it's not. This is actually Champions World Class Soccer, and it is a final version of Champions World Class Soccer, but they got the name wrong on the label. My guess is that maybe they wanted to call it World Cup Soccer, but couldn't get the rights.
Yeah, I imagine licensing the name World Cup is probably expensive, and you can probably only easily get it if you're caught in some sort of like arms deal fiasco.
So probably what happened is that maybe they called this in the earlier part of it, like they had this cartridge where they had already labeled it, and then these just happened to be newer than that particular version EPROMs that they slapped on there with the World Class Soccer title, despite the fact that it originally says World Cup.
I mean, what are you going to do? Recreate the whole thing, print out a new label, or just slap the rewritten ROMs in there, ship it off to the person who's going to review it?
Nobody cares.
Because they'll have a press kit that'll be like, here's what the game is, don't call it World Cup.
Yeah.
I'll come and kill you with a knife.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we do have one final game, but we couldn't, John.
Well,
we couldn't.
We don't want this one to just be a simple footnote in this episode. No. We have to make a whole episode out of cracking open a WATA sealed prototype.
Yeah.
I am extremely excited to get to break this thing open.
Oh yeah. So this is Empire Strikes Back for the NES. This is undumped. The previous owner sent this to WATA. WATA does like a dumping service where only they and the owner ever get the ROM, never to be released to anyone, and the owner gets a completely sealed prototype that he or she can hoard to themselves for the rest of their lives like a dragon atop a pile of gold.
Yes, they can tell you that, hey, this is mine, and you can't have it.
No, you can't.
You can't have it. I can play it because I have the ROM, but you can't have the ROM. So
I'm better than you.
Cooler.
I'm better than you.
Way cooler.
So we're going to break this thing open, dump it, and then the owner's going to release it.
Yeah.
We're going to see whether it's final or not, which of course we don't know yet because it's still sealed in this thing. Like, it's not meant...
Yeah, it's really on there.
Like, it's not meant to be opened. Like, we're going to have to use some tools, open it. We're going to do it in our next episode and see what's going on here. You know, if this thing was dumped, released, and then, you know, the previous owner wanted to whatever, you know, or maybe multiple previouses ago, I don't know when it happened. After it was released, if the owner wanted to get a nice case for it, cool. Fine.
Yeah,
I got nothing. No, there's nothing wrong with having a nice
as long
case
as
for
you
your
release the ROM, I would be completely fine with you sealing it.
But doing this pre-release is the biggest FU to the preservation community that there ever was. I loathe it.
Yeah, these are the grain of sand in our content clam. We hate it.
Yes.
But we make sweet pearls out of it.
That's right.
Once we get the correct tools, we're not. I mean, we can keep pulling at it. Like
we're just doing that on camera now to show that it's really
a live stream that's like 7 hours of us just
our fingers are bleeding. So this is your tease for next time, everybody. Thank you again to the owner who sent this to us, who is not the one who entombed it, by the way. Again, that happened quite a while back. He was able to buy it up. And
2019, actually. I hope that one day every single one of us can crack open one of these.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Hope to see you all back for the next one.
Oh.
That was our rant on our soapbox
Yeah.
regarding that. We're going to probably continue that rant next time as well. Stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can see what's going on for the next episode for this guy right here, whether it's retail or not, and just get that satisfaction of breaking that thing open and getting it out there to the community.
All together.